This video is brought to you by EA Game Changers. Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld again, and today we're just going to do a quick live commentary of the Battlefield 5 reveal trailer. Now, you might have seen this trailer before, you might have even seen it a few times, I know I have, but I'd say chances are you've probably missed a few of the key features because there's so much going on. Now, that's what we're going to actually do today. We're going to break it down. We're going to try and see if we can find any clues as to what features are going to be in the game, and most importantly, what the features we do know about are going to actually look like. And yeah, so hopefully we can sort of delve through some of this content and you guys can get a better understanding of what Battlefield 5 is going to be like, and maybe that'll make you a little bit more hyped up for the game, just like I am. Anyway, so let's stop talking about it and let's get into the trailer. Let's start breaking it down. All right, so I just want to stop it there because as you can see, the very first thing you see in this trailer is the Xbox logo. So I'm not sure whether that means EA has got some sort of partnership deal with Microsoft this time around. In previous games, you know, they've had deals with PlayStation and that sort of stuff, but it looks like Xbox is the featured platform for this particular release. I'm not sure whether that means there's going to be some exclusive Xbox content in the future. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it is interesting that it is the first thing that you see. All right, so then when you actually get into the trailer itself, you can see we've got this white horse. And where have we seen a white horse before? Well, we saw it in the Easter egg reveal a couple of weeks ago. Now, it's pretty unclear as to what the white horse actually means, if it means anything at all. But it is interesting, once again, that it's the first thing you see in the trailer. So I don't think it's like DICE to put in a feature like that without it being represented in game. And that's going to be sort of the running theme of this particular trailer. Basically, everything you see is something that's going to be featured in game, and it's something that they want to show you. So this white horse is probably going to have to mean something. All right, and then as you can see, I'm just going to roll that back a little bit so it's a little bit better picture. You can see this guy sort of falls down off the side of the tank, and he's got some goggles around his neck, and he's also got a bald head. These are just also examples of the visual customization that they were talking about in the live stream. And, you know, basically you're going to be able to customize your player in lots of different ways. And this really just only scratches the surface, as you'll see in just a sec. All right, here we go. So you can see this is kind of like the main British squad that's going to be the feature of this trailer. And once again, visual customization. If you have a look, they've all got some sort of blue face paint on. And also they've got some other visual customizations like, for example, this guy's wearing a singlet. This guy's got like a fairly sort of standard sort of uniform on, but what he does have is a patch on the right arm. And apparently these patches you're going to be able to customize and make them look however you want. And here we go. On the complete other end of the spectrum, this girl here, by the way, just a quick note about female playable characters. That's pretty interesting, right? But yeah, this particular girl, she's wearing like a long kind of coat. And if you have a look on it, there's quite a lot of patches. So whether or not you're going to be able to customize all those patches, we don't really know. But we do know there's going to be some sort of patch customization in the game. This tank, by the way, that they're getting off is what's called a Churchill tank. It's a British tank, and you can see by these big, huge sort of guards here and the shape of the gun. By the way, this guy seems to be holding some kind of like stubby sawn-off shotgun, so I'm not exactly sure what that is, but either way, just shows that shotguns are going to be back in Battlefield 5. And of course, you can't really see it. Oh, there you go. Okay, let's bring it back a little bit. Oh, hang on. Let's try that one more time. All right, so you can see in the hands of this character here, you've got Thompson submachine gun with, funnily enough, the box magazine rather than a drum magazine. So if you're used to like old 1930s gangster movies, you'll notice the Thompson has like a drum magazine. I'm wondering whether that will be something that you can change in game. Would be kind of interesting. And who can miss this claw, this prosthetic arm? I think most people in the community by now have picked up on that. And basically what that's going to be is a visual customization that you can apply later on in your character's career. So they're not going to want to try and give you this straight away because, you know, it's trying to mimic the journey of a real soldier. You know, obviously if a real soldier has just entered the battle, they're probably not going to have lost an arm and therefore won't need a prosthetic limb. So, you know, this is something that you won't be able to unlock straight away, something that you'll unlock much later in the game. All right, I just kind of want to highlight that. I'll just play that back again. Have a look at this explosion off to the right-hand side. And you can see that when the explosion goes off, like little pieces of debris are flying everywhere in the room. That's an example of the new destruction mechanic. And apparently these little pieces of debris, if they're actually big enough, they can actually damage you. So that's pretty interesting as well. Basically, in a nutshell, when explosions impact the area around it, the physical objects will actually respond to it. So you can see like the chandelier here actually moving out of the way of the explosion as well. It's obviously thrown this guy way out of the way, and that's all going to happen in-game. This isn't just for the trailer. All right, so she goes down, and you can see this guy falling down the stairs, and that's just an example of the new ragdoll physics. They've really improved them, apparently, and basically the other interesting thing about ragdolls this time around as well is that they're now processed on the server, which means everyone's going to see the same ragdoll, and you're not going to get the situations that you got from previous games where you get, you know, like people's body flying 50 feet up into the air because it's a glitch in how the ragdolls are drawn. So anyway, that's pretty interesting as well. All right, now I'll just kind of make a little bit of a note. Just watch this area on the left-hand side. Ready? See the gun holes, the bullet holes coming through? This is basically an example of something Lars was talking about, how the LMGs can actually now penetrate buildings. I'm not sure it's whether all enemies can, all guns, I should say, should be able to penetrate buildings. I think it's just anything over a certain caliber. So, for example, LMGs are quite a large round. You should be able to punch through walls with them. Maybe vehicle turrets and stuff are going to be able to punch through walls. Either way, it's an interesting new gameplay mechanic that's really going to change how people think about the battlefield. Also, another really good example of micro-destruction, something we haven't really seen to this sort of level since, you know, probably never, but, you know, at the very least, since Bad Company 2. All right, this guy needs a bit of a res. You know, so, you know, that's pretty standard. But if you have a look, his uniform, once again, is slightly different from everyone else's. He's got a different haircut. And you can see, like, the garrote takedown mechanic there, which is pretty interesting. So that's going to be something you're going to be able to do in-game. And, oh, hang on, let's just take that back, because I think we missed something. If you see really closely on the ground, this weapon here is what's called a German Sturmgewehr, or STG-44, which is the very first assault rifle ever to be created in the world, and a very, very iconic weapon of World War II. Definitely going to be seeing that in the game. And we sort of go over here into the corner to see this British guy. He's got a paratrooper beret on, and looks like he's got a bit of a headset as well. Once again, visual customizations that you can apply to your character. And if you have a look on his back, what's this? This is a samurai sword, which is ridiculous, you know, when you think about it. I mean, this guy is British. It doesn't really make too much sense for him to be carrying around a samurai sword, but you know what? You know, this is Battlefield, so they want you to play however you want to play, and unfortunately it looks like they've taken a little bit of, like, kind of historical leeway there, but I guess we'll have to see how it all ends up in the game. Also, once again, you've got the patch on the right-hand shoulder. Once again, you should be able to customize that, and if we play it just for a little bit longer, you can see he's shoving a magazine into a British Bren gun, which is a very iconic LMG. Let me just get this out of the way. There we go. It's kind of a bit like the Madsen in Battlefield 1. It's got that same kind of top-mounted magazine. And here we go. We've got some tanks about to crash into the building. If I just take that up one more, take that back a little bit. And when I first saw this particular scene, I thought, oh, yeah, they're just two Churchill tanks. So this one here is definitely a Churchill tank. You can see from the guards. You can see from the design of the turret. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't want to second guess myself. I'm pretty sure it is definitely still a Churchill. I'm thinking it might even be like a Cromwell or something, but I'm pretty damn sure it's a Churchill. Anyway, don't quote me on that. I'll put it down in the description below if I have got that wrong. I'll have to kind of look that up a little bit more. But anyway, it's a British tank, and this one over to the left-hand side, I'd never seen this one before because I just thought it was I just thought they were both Churchill tanks. But what it actually is, if you sort of have a look, Let's see if we can get a really good... Yeah, that's definitely a Churchill tank. And yeah, this one in the background, like I said, I just thought they were both Churchill tanks. But if you have a look, this one's got a turret. This one doesn't. The gun should be coming out of the turret here. And if you look in a later shot, you can see the gun isn't coming out of there. It's actually coming out of the hull, which makes this, rather than being a tank, it actually makes it a self-propelled gun. And that's interesting because the British didn't really have many self-propelled guns. And apparently what this is actually called is a Churchill gun carrier. It wasn't that common because most of the time, at least, you know, for the later part of the war, the British and the Americans and the rest of the Allies were on the offensive against the Germans, and self-propelled guns tend to be better when you're on the defensive. So interesting that it's made it into the game, but probably not something that you would have seen very often if you were in France in the Second World War. All right, so here we go. You can see this British paratrooper guy jumping out of the building. That's jumping out of windows is something that you're definitely going to be able to do in this game, exactly like you see it there. It's kind of like vaulting, but, you know, just with a window instead. You can see him like doing a bit of a crouch on the end. Does he do a roll? Let's have a quick look. No, I don't know if he rolls out of it, but you can see him sort of crouching there. And this girl here, she's fallen on her back. So she's like dove onto her back, and she's now going to actually start shooting from that back prone position, which is pretty interesting. One of the things they showed in the behind the scenes reveal was how the prone mechanics work now. So in the old games, if you were prone and you wanted to turn around, you'd turn your whole body and your legs would actually swing around. So just say you wanted to face the other direction, your legs would end up 180 degrees to where they once were. So now that doesn't actually happen. Your legs just stay in the same spot, and what your character does is rolls around like you would in real life. And if you want to see how this works, well, just try it for yourself. Lie on the ground and try and turn around. You don't actually move all of your whole body. You don't move your legs as you go. You kind of just sort of pivot your body and, you know, face your torso in the direction that you want to go rather than actually moving your whole body. So they've actually kind of made that realistic, which looks a lot smoother in game. All right, and as you can see here, we've got some sort of bolt action sniper rifle with a long range scope on it. By the way this looks, it kind of looks a little bit like either, actually I don't think it looks like a Car 98K. It could be, but I'd say this is something like a 1903 Springfield or something like that. I don't think it's got the silhouette of a British Enfield rifle, but I could be wrong. Either way, it's a bolt-action rifle. We always knew that they were going to return. And there's certain weapons, you know, certain bolt-action rifles that are definitely going to be in this game, like the Enfield, kind of what we would know as the Mauser 98 from Battlefield 1. The Springfield 1903 is definitely going to be back. Probably some of the French bolt-action rifles as well. So, but I'm not sure exactly what this rifle is, but I'm pretty sure it's not the Enfield. And as you can see, it's got some visual customization on it. It's a bit hard to see from this angle, but you can see rather than just a skin, it's actually got like kind of foliage on the outside of it, like 3D foliage rather than just a flat skin. So that's pretty interesting as well. And now, if we keep playing, we can see the tanks crashing through the buildings. Just another example of how the destruction works. And if you look closely at the tanks, you can see the foliage on the tanks as well, which is, you know, pretty interesting. That's something that, you know, is being added to the game. And apparently also these visual customizations to tanks, not all of them are visual. So a bit like how when you used reactive armor on tanks in Battlefield 4, it changed the look of your tank. You'll actually be able to apply upgrades to your tank in this game that will also change the look of your tank. So you might be able to put logs down the side of your tank to give you a little bit of extra armor protection or something like that. So we'll see that a little bit later on in the video anyway.
Here we go.
All right, and I'm getting messages all over the place. But anyway, yeah, so this new sort of motorcycle half track, you can see that's called a Kettengrad, I think, or something like that, Kettengrad, which is basically a German motorcycle half track. That was the only one that I could find in real life. So, you know, I may be wrong about this. It may be some kind of allied version of it, because you can see it does have the American star painted on it. But I'm assuming that's got something to do with, you know, emblems and how they kind of work in vehicles in Battlefield games in general. You know, most of the time you can customize your own emblem, and then when you get into a vehicle, it applies it to the vehicle. So I'm not sure whether that's just like a standardized emblem that this guy particularly has, but But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's called a Kettenkrad. I'm pretty sure it's called. And that's a German motorcycle half-track. You can also see this driver of this sort of, let's just call it a motorcycle. The driver of this vehicle, I should say, has got like a bomber jacket on, so not a standard uniform, and he's also got a patch on the back of the bomber jacket, which is apparently something you're also going to be able to customize in game. So just like you can customize your shoulder patches, you can also customize the patch that you've got on your back. Last thing, this guy's got what looks to be a paratrooper helmet on, and you know, I've been thinking about this all day. It actually kind of looks like a German paratrooper helmet, and I could be wrong about that, but you know, it would be interesting if they're allowing Allied troops to wear German headgear. That would be kind of, seems like that would break the fourth wall a little bit. It would make it seem a little bit unrealistic. But, you know, like I said, that looks like a very low profile paratrooper helmet. So let's just hope that that's an Allied paratrooper helmet. Also, you can hear the music in the background. Once again, I don't think that's going to be an actual feature. I'm pretty sure that's just in there for a bit of trailer magic, you know, because a lot of people have been talking about, you know, they hope there's going to be like in-game, you know, vehicle radio. But when you think about it, it wouldn't really make sense. What are they going to do? Just play the Battlefield theme song on repeat? That doesn't seem like a very interesting feature unless they allow you to add your own music, which would once again completely ruin the historical feel of the game. All right, so if we click play again, coming into view now, we've got a British Valentine tank that's towing an AA towable. And as you will see in just a tick, there's actually someone in this AA towable, and you can actually fire the AA gun while it's being towed. So that's interesting. Kind of can turn your tank into a bit of a mobile fortress. So, you know, the actual tank gunner can shoot vehicles, whereas this guy can shoot all the aircraft coming in to strafe him. Also on the side, like I mentioned before, you can see there's some logs on the side. So there to, you know, do different things, not just for a visual customization, there to protect you from, you know, for example, you know, some sort of like AT rocket or something like that. You can also see a British flag on the top. So whether or not that's a visual customization, I'm not sure, but it's going to make it a lot easier for aircraft to see, you know, who's who with that particular flag on top. Oh, and one last thing, just have a listen carefully to the music when this AA goes past. The AA actually shoots in time with the music, which is really, really cool. Really interesting. All right, and here we go. Favorite part of the trailer, the German Tiger tank. One of the most impressive vehicles of the Second World War. Monstrous bit of box of metal, basically. Very, very powerful. And it's going to be interesting to see how they balance the Tiger tanks out with the rest of the tanks in the game. Because, you know, Tigers had a lot more armor, much bigger gun than the Allied tanks. And so I'm thinking maybe what they're going to have to do is compensate by giving maybe the Allied teams more tanks rather than you know, trying to upgun Sherman so it seems unrealistic or something like that. So, yeah, interesting to see how these guys are going to actually play out in game. Really cannot wait to get into one of these. All right, here we go. We can see the bridge like falling apart here. It's just destroying itself all over the place. So whether or not that is going to start like that at the start of the game will be interesting to know. Maybe that's something you can trigger, kind of like Levolution from Battlefield 4. And here we go. This is what's called a German Opel truck, which is, you know, I'm not sure if that's going to be just kind of like an in-game placed asset, or maybe it's something that you can actually jump into. Either way, you know, you can see it falling off the bridge there and completely destroying our two guys that we've been following up to this point. And here we go, another quite impressive scene. You can see the destruction everywhere, see the sandbags like flying everywhere. This is a German Bf-109 fighter plane. You can see the cannon mounted in the nose cone, which is pretty cool. And I think what's most impressive is you can see as the plane hits the ground, the different parts of the plane shearing off and flying all around. So you can see he's missing a wing at this point, and by the time he comes to rest, just about the whole plane is completely ruined. And that's actually going to be an in-game feature. So if you're in a dogfight with a particular player or whatever, you are actually going to be able to, you know, take out different sections of their vehicle. So if you're in a tank, you should be able to take out, you know, the turret of an enemy tank, or you should be able to disable their engine or whatever, or you should be able to take out the, you know, wing of an aircraft or whatever, and disable them section by section. And this guy down on the ground here is going to get absolutely destroyed in just a sec, and you'll see the new kinetic physics throw him back to where we are right now. I feel like that plane would have stuffed him up a little bit more than that, but anyway, he's dead. He's over here now, and he wasn't before. Here's the aircraft a little bit closer up. You can see, just look at the actual visuals on this. It's not like, you know, the aircraft as it was in previous games is this giant, big, huge block, and it just has a pool of hit points, and when you start to destroy it, eventually it just runs out of hit points and dies. You can actually see the damage being done to the plane, to the different sections of the plane. You can see he's missing this wing now. The propeller is completely screwed up. And what's, I think, most interesting is that he's able to get out. Like, check this out. He's able to bail out while it's on the ground. So, yeah, anyway, pretty interesting use of destruction there. Okay, over here we've got 2 German soldiers just kind of recovering themselves, about to kind of shoot us. You can see this guy over here. I think he looks like he's got like a bandage on his head, which is pretty interesting. But he's also holding, which is quite clearly the silhouette of a German MP40 submachine gun. A weapon that I think we already knew was going to be in the game, but, you know, it's because it's one of those iconic German weapons of the Second World War. And they get killed by, and let's just turn that back a little bit so we can see what it is. Still getting notifications everywhere. It's really hard to see this. There we go. So you can see the wheel on the front and the fact that it's like a convertible car. That's, I think, what's called a German Kubelwagen, which is basically a little German scout car. So I'm assuming that's going to be a playable vehicle in game. It's another iconic German car of the Second World War. Okay, so you can see, and this is an interesting thing I missed on the first couple of times around. When he actually picks up the kit of this guy, he's actually leaning down to pick up the gun. You know, so it's not like you just magically pick up their kit. You actually physically have to bend down and pick it up. And that's what the dev said in the behind-the-scenes reveal. Basically, that they want to try and make Battlefield feel more physical and more kinetic than it's ever felt before. So, for example, if you're a support player and you put down an ammo crate, people will actually have to physically come up to that ammo crate and take ammo out of it. They can't just magically get ammo like they have in previous games. And that's going to work for med kits as well, and a lot of other in-game things. You're not just going to be able to kind of walk near it and expect it to, you know, fill you up or work. You're going to actually have to pick it up, and there's going to be a lot more animations for little kind of mundane things like this to make the game seem more realistic and physical. All right, a lot of stuff in this next kind of image here. We've got a guy in a hat, which is interesting. You can see the repair tool in his hand. So, you know, he's not wearing a helmet. You're going to be able to customize your hats by the look of it. That's that, not the repair tool, the toolkit, the ability to construct fortifications. And you can see he's just whacking away at a sandbag wall there. These guys are doing the same thing. And as you can see, the sandbags are placed around this Pak 88 emplacement. So this is a really big fixed German artillery piece, which is used for taking out tanks. So very low profile, very, very powerful gun. Should be able to destroy enemy tanks quite well, but obviously is very, you know, weak to sniper rifles and that sort of stuff. And that's what these fortifications here are meant to do. It's meant to, you know, basically box in and surround the emplacement so that you don't have to worry about getting sniped all the time. One other thing, if you have a look here, this guy here has got a launcher on his back, and this, by the looks of it, is a British Piat launcher, which is basically like, you know, their version of the bazooka or the Panzerschreck. It's a little bit different. It's not actually a rocket launcher. It's more like a grenade launcher, but, you know, it works a little bit differently, but still, you know, it should be pretty effective against tanks. Now, I should just point out as well, if you have a look at the gun we're using, and we'll see this for basically the rest of the trailer, this is an MG42. You can see the belt feeding in here and some foliage on the front of the gun to customize it. Once again, another visual customization. And you can see just like the wear and tear on the gun. It's not like this is a nice clean gun like we saw in like games like Hardline, for example. It's screwed up, it's messed up, and it's meant to look like it's been in the war for a little while. And you can see that play. I'll just roll that back because that was pretty unclear, but you can see the guy comes past the support player and throws the ammo bag to the enemy player there. Did you notice as well he actually turned around to do it? So, you know, once again, it's meant to be more kinetic, more realistic. All right, okay, so we got some German soldiers running away here. Lots of things to see here. It's pretty hard to see at the moment, but that on this German's back here is called a Panzerschreck. That's like the German version of a bazooka. It's got this really cool little shield on it to protect you from the blast of the rocket. I'm not sure what this gun is here. I think we might see it a little bit clearer in just a sec, but that's that MP40 we saw earlier on again. This gun here, as you can see, has got like it's an LMG with a bipod. It's got like a round drum magazine on the top. And it, I think, is what's called a Vickers K, which was a pretty famous British LMG used by the SAS in the Second World War. You can also see, can you see he's actually going into that slide sort of mechanic that we're going to see in just a tick. So obviously once you're sliding and on the ground prone, you're going to have much more control over LMGs. And so you're going to see our character do that as well. All right, lots of things to see here. That's one of those Kettengrads again. We've got a Sturmtiger in the background, which is this big boxy looking thing. It's a bit hard to see, but that silhouette is definitely a Sturmtiger, which is a German assault tank. It's got this ridiculous, like, obnoxiously big cannon on the front, which is designed for taking out buildings and fortifications. Not sure how useful it's going to be against tanks, but should be pretty interesting. And one of the things that they mentioned as well, I think they mentioned it actually in the behind the scenes reveal stream and also in the main stream, that you're going to be able to call these guys in. These are like hero vehicles that you can request after you've earned enough squad points to bring them in. Okay, so you can see here, can you see the grenade being thrown there? It is on the ground. And this guy here, by the way, he's holding a Sten submachine gun, which is the British kind of equivalent of the MP40. He's going to pick up this grenade and throw it back. And then when he throws it back, our character is actually going to shoot it midair, and the plane that comes in is actually going to run into the grenade. So, see that? So let's just take that back one more time so you can see that happen. So ready? Bam. So not only can you re-throw grenades, you can shoot grenades in midair, and the grenades can kill planes. Like, how impressive is that, right? One last thing we missed as well. It's a bit easier to see from a bit closer. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if we can get a good shot of this. There we go. All right, so can you see the silhouette of this tank on the left-hand side? That's unmistakably a Panzer IV, German Panzer IV. So far we've seen Sturmtigers. You can see the Sturmtiger is like unleashing its giant cannon over here right now. Sturmtiger for sure, Panzer IV for sure, and we've seen a Tiger for sure already. On the British side, we've definitely seen that the Churchill gun carrier. We've seen a Churchill for sure, and we've seen a Valentine as well. So 3 tanks at least on the same map for each faction.
Watching grenade! I got your back.
All right, oh, there we go. Hang on, let's take a look at that plane. That is a British Spitfire. You can see the elliptical wings there and the British roundels. So, you know, we knew they were going to be in the game. One of the most well-known tanks, well-known tanks of the air, well-known planes, I should say, of the Second World War. And you can see another Panzer IV coming in, crashing in there. Now, guys, just going to go prone, take these guys out. And he's pulled out his secondary there, which is a German Luger pistol. So he's just going to take out these guys with that. Interesting because, you know, we saw him pick up the kit before, so that kind of makes sense because he had an MG42 and a Luger. would go with that, considering it's a German weapon. So yeah, pretty. Actually, no. With that being said, I'm kind of doubting myself now. That may actually not be a Luger. It may actually be the P38. But either way, it's a German pistol. You can see from the outline there. Yeah, so whether that's a P38 or whether it is actually a Luger, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, actually, now that I think about it, it does look like a P38, which was one of the standard sidearms of Germany in the Second World War. All right, coming over the top now, we've got a British Mosquito, which was a big fighter bomber, I should say. A big fighter bomber in the Second World War. Really good for taking out enemy bombers and that sort of stuff. Probably not so good with dogfighting other fighters, but definitely very powerful, very fast, and very capable of really quickly taking out either bigger enemy aircraft or ground forces on the ground. You've also got, coming in behind it, what looks like another Bf-109 trying to dogfight it. And of course, the infamous V1 flying bomb that we all know from the trailer so far. Just absolutely annihilating everything. You look at the actual blast radius of that. Ready? Let me show you that again. Look at how devastating this is. Like, it throws us back and we're not even close to the explosion. So can you imagine what that would be like if it fell on top of a conquest point? And it threw our player back, which is something that is going to happen in game. And this guy is going to come over and give us a bit of a cuddle. This is obviously a reference to Saving Private Ryan. There's a scene in the end of the movie where an SS trooper is actually holding down an American and stabbing him with a knife, and he shushes him, like you can see in this particular part of the trailer. But it's a little bit different because the guy in the movie, actually, I think he's clean shaven and he has a bald head. So this guy, they've obviously added on some goggles, obviously added on some facial hair and that sort of stuff. Doesn't quite look like it does in the movie, but obviously that's a reference to that. And the last thing we're going to see is this British girl, again, coming back with the most British weapon you can possibly think of, a cricket bat. And it's going to belt him to death with it. So, and by the way, I just should mention as well that what we just saw is something that's actually going to happen in game. So I know when I first saw this trailer, I saw it at a couple of days ago at the pre-reveal, and we all thought it was just part of sort of trailer cinematic, magic. It wasn't something that we thought would be an in-game feature, but that actual animation of the guy, jumping on top of the down soldier and actually, doing that shush animation, that's actually apparently something that's an in-game feature. We don't exactly know how that's going to be triggered yet. Apparently it's not going to happen all the time, but it can happen in-game. So that's pretty interesting as well. But yeah, like I said, belts this guy with a cricket bat and...
Hello, old friend.
Hello, old friend. And she looks up and there's... Oh, hang on, we missed that. She looks up and there's the paratroopers dropping in, which, as they said in the reveal stream, is something that you're going to be able to do in grand operations at the very least in the airborne game mode, which is one of the first game modes that you're going to play in that particular game mode. So yeah, so there you go. That's the trailer. Nothing more to see, I think, after this point. And I don't know about you, I'm pretty impressed. It's definitely different from most Battlefield trailers that we've come to know from the series about this time of the year. For example, it's very different from the Battlefield 1 trailer. It's not cinematic at all. It's really trying to showcase the new features. And I think that was the whole point. I think in the past, we've all seen a trailer, for example, that we look at and we go, man, that looks really good, but, that's never going to be what the game looks like. And I think what they wanted to try and do with this particular trailer was, bridge the gap. I think they wanted to make people know that the gameplay you can see in the trailer is what you're actually going to experience in the game itself. And I think that's probably the most impressive thing about it. Even if you don't like the trailer, you've got to give them credit for that. But anyway, guys, I think that just about wraps up this video. Kind of enjoyed doing the live commentary, so maybe we'll have to do this sort of stuff again. But anyway, until next time, make sure you check out my other videos on my channel. You can find them in a link in the description down below. Also, don't forget you can support me on Twitter and Discord, also using the links down below. And as always, until next time, see you later and have a good one.